Hey, if you tried to do much outside this spring, you know how often you had to contend with the weather. Rain. It rained a lot in the spring of 2019, and that screwed up ball games and postponed picnics. But what if it affected your livelihood? What if you farm, rely on those crops to make a living, and can't even put the seeds in the ground? Well, way too often that was the case for Northwest Ohio farmers, and here to help us understand the depth and breadth of just what we're dealing with is Eric Rieker, OSU Ag Extension Agent and Educator in Fulton County. Did I get the name right?
Absolutely.
All right, man. Good to see you again. It's been a while. Give us an idea of just how much farmland intended to grow corn this year won't do that, will not grow corn.
Well, Jerry, thanks for the opportunity to be on the show. My frame of reference is Fulton County,
right.
And so in Fulton County, we typically plant 80,000 acres of corn, 80,000 acres of soybeans, and we believe anywhere from over half of that will go unplanted.
I live in Wood County. Alan Sundermeyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, an ag agent there. Thinks the highest even number in our county.
Yeah, I think so. I think some neighboring counties could be higher than that. Absolutely.
When you start talking about 60% of what was to be corn farmland is not. There are weeds growing out there. What are farmers telling you about the last time, Eric, they encountered a situation like this?
Well, I think the popular press has said that this has been the latest start to a planting season in 40 years, and that's pretty accurate. I would ratchet that up a little bit, and in conversations with the oldest generation of farmer that I come in contact with, they've referenced the 40s, 1947 as a year that was similar to this one. Farmers didn't get started planting until after, or the rain didn't stop until after the first week of June, and they started planting
okay,
after that.
We're clear. We're sitting here now in June. Mm-hmm. We're not going to plant. In fact, July comes on Monday. We're not going to plant any more corn this year.
No, I would say generally, yeah, absolutely. Farmers are done planting corn.
If it's not in, now it's not going in.
Corn
now,
for grain is
before
out
we
of the
call
question.
all of his acres a total loss or a total zero, there is some time some will change gears and put beans in those acres. Is that correct?
So farmers have the choice of either taking the prevented plant payment through their crop insurance. It's a carve out or an opportunity in their crop insurance policy. Secondly, they could switch to soybeans and plant soybeans later. Some of them will do that. However, the late planting period for soybeans has begun, and that the late planting date or the late planting date for soybeans was June 20th, and so that's passed. And so,
yes,
or the final plant date, excuse me, I got to make sure I use the right crop insurance language. So they'll switch, or else they'll consider some other creative options.
All right, some of you out there just heard, well, that's just what I've heard. They have insurance, they're going to be fine. Let's do some of this with me. Help me out. Yeah. What percentage of farmers even buy it?
So our economists at Ohio State say that 90% of the farmers carry crop insurance at some level.
Okay.
You can buy varying levels of crop insurance.
Okay, well then that kind of leads into my next question. What percentage of farmers buy it? Now what does it cover?
So farmers can buy crop insurance from 50% to 85%, and there's some other private sector products.
50% of what? The expected revenue? 50% of?
50% of their yield history times an expected price.
So even if you have crop insurance, you say some 90% of farmers do, this doesn't, by definition, this doesn't make them whole.
This does not make a farmer whole. No, this covers you to a certain level, and the prevented plant provision within the policy is even lower than that. So it's 55, and corn is 55%, or a buy up to 60% of the guaranteed revenue. That
is
farmer
it
has.
fair to say it may keep some farmers afloat who otherwise, I hate to say afloat with all the rain and the standing water in fields, but you know what I'm saying, there's no pun intended there whatsoever. Could we lose farmers over the season?
What insurance will allow a farmer to do is make it to another year.
Yeah.
You know,
Live
everybody
to fight
buys
another
insurance.
day.
Yep. Whether it's car insurance, auto insurance, or life insurance, we don't like to use insurance, and it, like you referenced, it doesn't make us whole. But what it'll allow many of our farmers to do is dig down and prepare for the 2020 crop season. So
I was in conversation it was Wednesday night, a friend of mine, and he has relatives way out on the West Coast, and they're in Napa Valley, and they do grapes and all that kind of stuff. And we're talking about the whole industry of farming. Can you imagine putting this stuff? Your equipment is so expensive, the seed, so ever this guy, and you're working against something over which you have no control.
right.
Getting it in the ground, and then do you get the rain that you need once you have it in the ground? All that kind of good stuff.
Correct.
If there's any silver lining, Jerry's always looking for something optimistic. If there's any silver lining, the law of supply and demand means that prices should go up. And I see that's already happening as far as corn is concerned. But still, again, if you have no product to sell, the price is rather moot, right? Tell me about that.
Right. Well, so the price of corn, even up through today, has gained maybe $1 on
Per
the
bushel.
board per bushel, and that's all well and good. But if a farmer doesn't have the seed in the ground and bushels to produce, or is unsure of what kind of yield that will produce, he's a little bit apprehensive. We also know there's some farmers out there that forward contract some grain at what was believed was a good price at $4 or $3.90, $4.10, and kind of got in a pinch because those acres didn't get planted, and so there's some buyouts that are contract buyouts that are happening. So.
Much more than just concern for farmers, and we need to have concern for farmers. They're a backbone in this society, but we also need to be concerned about how this will affect us. In our last minute together, last 30 seconds here, give me some ideas, things that you can expect it's coming your way because of what we're doing.
Well, I think when a farmer doesn't put a crop in the ground, that affects the input supply side. You know, whether it's seed providers, chemical input providers, service providers, equipment dealers who sell parts to farmers. If farmers aren't operating, that's not.
Feed for livestock go up?
Feed for livestock is a whole area we didn't talk about. There's a forage gap
But that,
for a cattle
that
and
meat,
dairy
we can
guys.
expect that meat to become more expensive.
To a degree, I think you can, to a degree.
If you find a farmer down the road from you, give him a hug, please. This is a year of just historic discontent out there on the farm. Eric Reeker, it's nice to have you here. Would you come back from time to time and update us on things?
If you'd like that.
I appreciate it. I want to thank Eric for keeping us on the leading edge of historic times out there on the farm and never seen before, at least for decades, in the rich countryside of Northwest Ohio. I'll be right back.